So here's what we're going to do. Today we are going to start our unit on proportionality and slope. I'll fill those in by the time we get back to lunch. I was still kind of deciding what order I wanted to introduce everything in. Today we're going to start off with proportionality. Tomorrow we'll do proportionality. And then we'll begin moving into slope on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Yes, sir. No, because you don't have a job, so you don't have to pay taxes. So, Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you. Yes, it is. Okay, so is it really? My daughter's was yesterday. I knew about the Kibrias. Thank you. On the retest, I've had some kids ask me about the retest. What we're going to do on the retest is tomorrow we're going to do a little bit on proportionality, and then on the second half you're going to have the opportunity to retest if you wish from the Unit 8 retest. Here's the incentive I'm going to offer you. If you scored below an 85, you may retest it up to an 85. Okay? So if you score below an 85, you may retest it up to an 85. I will tell you there are 10 questions, so you'd only be able to miss 1.5 to get your 85. Okay? Any questions on that? It will be during class second half tomorrow. Now, I will tell you what you need to know just really quickly. You need to know about stem and leaf. I'm recording it, so you don't have to freak out. Stem and leaf, box and whisker, everything that you need to know about how to make those and how to interpret those. You need to be able to know about data distribution. That's where you say, is it uniform, is it symmetrical, is it skewed left, is it skewed right, that kind of thing. For probability, you need to know all about probability. You need to know how to predict probability based off of experimental probability. You need to know about independent and dependent probabilities. You know about compound probabilities, multiple probability things. Okay? And most importantly, you will lose points if you don't simplify the probability. And on a 10-question test, you really can't afford to do that. Okay? So don't do something silly and give me like 6/8 as a final answer. You'll lose half credit right off the top. Okay? Any questions on all that fun stuff? Bless you. Yeah. Uh-huh. I'm a civil servant. Yes. No, it has nothing to do with, it's purely based off your income levels. So as a result of the fact that we're not paid a ton of money, then yes, we pay less taxes. But not as a teacher. A person who makes $50,000 a year in the business world pays the exact same amount of taxes as I pay making $50,000 as a teacher. Yeah. Yes, go ahead, babe. Okay? Sort of. But yeah. I mean, but that's no different than your taxes, your parents' property taxes go towards the school district as well. And there are some people who don't have kids who pay property taxes, and it goes towards the school district. Yes, sir. It will be sometime this week.
So just like when we get back. All right, put your phone down.
Okay. It will be, the financial terms test will be sometime this week. Good. Then you're in good shape. Okay. Yes, sir. Any questions on retest? Any question on financial terms test? On the retest, I don't think there's a single one that's multiple choice. I don't think there's a single one that's multiple choice. No, I made it. I made it over the weekend. I hadn't made it on Thursday, but I've made it up now.
Oh, can we take it today?
No. Well, yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good idea.
Thanks.
Okay. All righty. So let's get through this real quick, and then we'll get into lunch, and we'll come back and talk about proportionality a little bit. So number one, the table shows Aaron's net worth. Assets are shown as positive numbers, and liabilities are shown as negative numbers. Aaron's net worth is $85,500. Based on the information on the table, what is the amount of money Aaron owes in credit card debt? Jackson, walk me through how you solved it, please.
So, his net worth is $85,000.
Yep.
So you have to first thing that he was asking me that together.
He
Negative
negative 74,750. Okay, that makes sense.
Then I added up all the positives together.
Okay. So we added all the assets, which got him a positive balance of 163,900.
And then you
Okay, and you got what? $89,150. Yeah, from there it's the difference between this and this.
And I saw that
It's B. Okay. Any questions on how you solve that? Is the credit card debt an asset or a liability? Debt is never an asset. Credit card debt is a liability. It is money you owe. Okay, make sure you understand the difference between assets and liabilities. Assets are things with a positive net value. Liabilities are things with a negative net value. It's usually money that you owe. Okay? Could be. I don't know if it will be. I know that it can be. Heather's dog weighs 3 pounds more than twice the weight of her cat. Her dog weighs 12 pounds. Which equation can be used to find C, the weight of her cat? Someone tell me how they, Labib.
So I know her dog weighs 12 pounds.
Okay.
So I did 12 pounds.
Okay.
And then it's just,
Okay, did everyone get that? So her dog weighs 12 pounds. So he went ahead and went with 12 equals right off the bat.
and then it says 12 is 3 pounds more than twice the weight. So it's
12 is, which is the Heather's dog, 12 weighs 3 pounds more than twice the weight of the cat. And then you simply matched it to A. Fantastic. It's an outstanding way to do it. It's a really good way to solve that one. Okay? And last, Kathy will spin the spinner twice. What's the probability the air will land on a prime number both spins? How many prime numbers, Bennett, are on the spinner? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is not a prime number.
you don't get any answers.
Therefore, it's 4 out of 8 times 4 out of 8, which simplifies to 1/2 times 1/2, which is 1/4, which is none of these. They did count 1 as a prime number. But I think some of you did too.
No, we just
Well,
did just. I did it that way because.
okay, listen to me. That is a really good point to bring up before we break for lunch. Guys, listen to me. You do not adjust what you know to be a right answer to fit a test. On a STAR test, it has been like tested a number of times before it gets to you guys. It will not be wrong like this warm-up was. If you get an answer that's different from the 4 answer choices, you have messed up. You don't just adjust your number to fit an answer choice. You go back to the beginning and you read it and you rework it. Very, very important. That's a mistake that a lot of kids make. They'll get an answer that's close. Mathematics is not about getting a close answer. This is not hand grenades and this is not horseshoes. Okay? Do what? You don't just pick a fraction that looks close to the fraction you wrote. That's dumb. That's a different number. Okay? It's like, well, I got 3 and 2's really close, so it's probably 2. No, that's not the way math works. Well, again, if you don't have an answer that matches an answer choice, you've done something wrong somewhere. Okay? Jonah. Yeah. On those, it's usually, but again, even like thinking back to the test that we just took, if you weren't using a flat, if you used a flat line, you could see where it was.
That's why.
Okay.
That's why most get an A not like you get a math.
Yeah. Well, it could be. Depends on the mistake that's made.
Because usually that's the way of doing it.
I agree. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. When we get back from lunch, there are going to be, listen carefully, please. When you get back from lunch, there are going to be laminated coordinate grids up here and vis-a-vis markers and tissues. Okay? Everyone needs to get a tissue, a vis-a-vis, and a laminated coordinate grid. Okay? Any questions on that? And then we'll jump on that when we get back. Alrighty. So today we're going to start talking about proportionality and what it means. We've already done like proportions from a solving proportion standpoint, but today we're going to talk about proportionality from more of an algebraic perspective. We're going to talk about proportionality from like an algebraic perspective. Let's start with what makes a proportion a proportion. What makes a proportion a proportion? How do we know we have a proportion? How would we write a proportion? What does it look like? Christopher? A fraction equal to a fraction. A proportion, by definition, is simply a fraction that's set equal to another fraction. So if you have 2 over 3 and 6 over 9, are those considered proportional? They are proportional. They are proportional. Okay? How do we know they're proportional? Because what does that mean, they're equal? How do you know? There's a scale factor. There's a scale factor that connects the top and the bottom. Another way to look at it is if you were to cross multiply 9 times 2 has the same value as 6 times 3. 9 times 2 has the same value as 6 times 3. That's, by the way, how you determine if two fractions are equivalent fractions. Okay? Another way to look at proportions when we start looking at graphs is we start looking at rates of change. We start looking at rates of change. The rates of change for these two fractions are the same. So in the first fraction, it goes up 2. For every 2 that it goes up, it's going up 3 on the denominator. For every 2 that it goes up in the numerator, it's going up 3 in the denominator. And by the way, the next one has exactly the same rate of change. Has the exact same rate of change. The top is increasing at the same rate as the bottom. The top is increasing at the same rate as the bottom. It is how, guys, you would determine if two fractions are equivalent. Now, from an algebra standpoint, in algebra, if someone were to say, Mr. Smith, what exactly is algebra? Algebra is the study of the relationship between x's and y's. It is the study of the relationship between an x and a y, an input and an output. Okay? And in a fraction form, the y is on the top and the x is on the bottom. The y is on the top and the x is on the bottom. Now, if you were to pick up a calculator and you were to type in 2 divided by 3 and hit enter, what would the calculator tell you that value is, Alex? 0.6 repeating. It is 0.6 repeating. Jaden, what would happen if you picked up your calculator and did 6 divided by 9 and hit enter? 0.6 repeating. Therefore, when we talk about them being equivalent, this is the very definition of 2 that are equivalent. As a matter of fact, I will tell you that if I give you a table of values, one of your tests to determine if they are proportional is to do y divided by x. If y divided by x every time gives you the same number, then those are considered proportional. They are considered proportional. And by the way, you can write them as ordered pairs just as easily as you could do this. Any questions on that so far? Okay, so if I give you a table of values, X and Y. And I say it's -3, -6, -1, -2, 0, 0, 5, 10. And I said, guys, I want you to tell me if that represents a proportional table. Your first goal is to find what is called the constant of proportionality. There's a term called the constant of proportionality. You said K. Very good. And the constant of proportionality is represented by the variable K. And I don't even know why, because K is not for constant, but whatever. Yeah. So what a lot of kids will do is they'll take a table and they'll make a column for K. And in order to find the constant of proportionality, how would we determine if these X's and Y's are proportional, Brendan?
Divide.
Divide what?
The Y by the X.
Y divided by X. As we go through and divide and do Y divided by X, what is -6 divided by -3? What is -2 divided by -1?
2.
0 divided by 0, we're going to hold off on that. And 10 divided by 5? 2. This is proportional. This is a proportional relationship. And if you were to graph it, in fact, why don't you do that? On your paper, graph those ordered pairs, please. Graph those ordered pairs, please. You should have 4 points of reference when you graph it. Hold. I'll talk about it in just a second. Hurry up and graph those points, Gavin. What did you notice about the points once they were graphed? Okay, it's a straight line. What else did you notice, Brendan?
It's a straight line through the origin.
It's a straight line through the origin. It's a straight line through the origin. Alex? It is linear, which means straight line's the same thing. And, by the way, something else. Go ahead. -3, -6. So if I were graphing this, and I were to graph at -3, -6, which would be here. I think the other one was -2,
At the
-1, -2, 0, 0, and 5, 10. Here. So here are our points. Hold. Here are our points. If I were to connect these points, I'll try to get it as straight as I can. If I were to graph these points, pretty straight, pretty close. 2 things I want you to make sure that you give me whenever I ask you to graph points like this. Number 1, make sure it is a line and not a line segment. Make sure that the endpoints I give you do not represent the endpoints you display. Now, this is what we would call a graph of a proportional relationship. There are 2 tests to determine if a graph is proportional. And they've already mentioned them. Cameron said it's a straight line. It's linear. That's the first test. A proportional relationship must be linear. And the second is what Brendan said. It must go through the origin. All proportional relationships must be linear and must go through the origin. That is your test. They must be linear and they must go through the origin. This is something you would want to write down because it will be absolutely on a test. Yes, sir. I'll deal with that later. It's fine. I have a spray. It's okay. I have a spray that'll take them off. It's okay. Yeah. If you lick the tissue, it wipes right off.
Oh, yeah. What in the world?
Okay? Now, okay. Now, if you were to use dry erase, obviously, by the way, if you've never understood, that's what that means. Dry erase means you can erase it dry. Wet erase means you can erase it when it's wet. Hey, you act shocked, but you really didn't figure it out until I just told you. Really? Thank you. I'm aware, but don't act like it was just like you had it. Okay. Now, here's what I would like for you to please do. I want you to please make a table of the following ordered pairs. And by the way, you can put this one in yours as well. Let's see. Where do I want to go with this? Yeah, I would. I would like for you to please find for me, and do not yell it out, the constant of proportionality for that proportional relationship. I would like for you to find K for that relationship, based off what we just talked about with regard to the table. I want you to find for me the constant of proportionality for that relationship. Terrible way to take notes, Gavin, because you're going to so lose that the minute you walk out of this room. You need a spiral. You need something that secures the paper, because there's no chance in the world that you hang on to loose paper. Okay. Might need some more tomorrow. So just keep it. Cameron, what did you get as the constant of proportionality for this relationship? Negative 1.5. If I were to say I want you to write it as a simplified improper fraction, Alex, what would you write? Negative 3 over 2. You're both wrong. Jason, it is y over x, ladies and gentlemen. It's what we wrote on the table. Y divided by x. And the most simple error you can make is x divided by y. The constant of proportionality for this particular relationship is negative 2/3 is negative 2/3 or negative 0.6 repeating. Now, I will tell you, on most tests, they will require that you give it in simplified fraction form. Do not convert it to a mixed number. Always keep it as a simplified fraction. Another thing to keep in mind, this is worth notes as well, bless you, you will never have a negative denominator as an answer choice. If you do, if you end up like, if you were to set this up as y, if you set it up as y divided by, oh, what did I do that for? X, y. If you set it up as y divided by x, you end up with 2 over negative 3. The minute you do that, you either need to write it as negative 2/3 or negative, put it all the way out front. Do not give me a negative side in a denominator. You will never, ever, 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 ever see it on a test, no matter how foolish the person is that's making it. No one does that. Okay? Now, we'll tell you, you will eventually, you will at first, but then you'll get better at it. If I were finding the constant of proportionality, I would have taken all those ordered pairs and put them in a table, then given myself a column for k, and under k, I would have written y divided by x, because that's the mistake you're going to make. Then find your constant of proportionality. Guys, your problem in algebra is going to be going too fast, just going to be going too fast and not thinking. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay, so how do we tell if a table is proportional? Alex? Perfect. How do we tell if it is, did I say from a graph or table? I guess you did from a graph. How do I tell, Andrew, if a table is proportional or represents a proportional relationship? McGee, how do I tell if a table represents a proportional relationship? Nope. Bennett. Okay. Nolan.
You do y divided by x with all the coordinates, you get the second number for each.
That's exactly right. Except there's one exception to that. 0 divided by 0. The origin is never going to give you the constant of proportionality. Okay? The origin is never going to give you the constant of proportionality. So never test the 0, 0 group. I will tell you this, though. If you look at a table, and you see a table that has, I don't know, 8 over 2 and 6 over 1.5 and 0, 1, you know this is not proportional. Why do we know this is not proportional, Labib? It's not going through the origin, it's automatically out. The minute it doesn't go through the origin, it is out. Okay? The minute it does, Nola, what was yours? Well, 2 divided by 8 simplifies to 1/4. 1.5 divided by 6 simplifies to 1/4. This does have a constant right up until it doesn't go through the origin. So be careful about that.
Could there still be one if it was like, because you could still have one that goes to the origin.
Does anybody know how to convert 1.5 over 6 into a simplified improper fraction?
Yeah, you could just take 15 over 60.
You could do that. Or you could, usually if it's 0.5, Christopher, you could scale it, right? Times 2 times 2, which gives you 3 over 12, and then simplify it down. Okay? Either way works. Any questions on that? Okay. Now, I will say to Andrew's point, when I said, what makes a table a proportional relationship? If you were to take all the table values and graph them, you could then determine if it's a straight line and if it goes through the origin. That's an option. Okay? When you're doing your worksheet today, I want you to carefully read the questions. There are some that say to explain to me certain things. I want real explanations. I need you understanding proportionality. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to do a retest, and we're going to do proportional graphs, tables, and equations. I'm going to show you how to make equations from these same graphs and tables. And then on Wednesday, we're jumping into slope. You're basically going to be doing many assignments that are very similar to the Unit 4 assignments from Algebra 1. Okay? Yeah, you are. No, as of Wednesday, you're doing algebra. Okay? Study of the relationship between inputs and outputs.
Oh man.
Yeah, sort of. It's just, it's a little bit more, we're about to kind of
Little more
hit the
fun.
accelerator a little bit. Okay? Any questions on all that fun stuff? All right, kiddos, hold